Hello, I'm Alex Mansfield, the host of Manny Talks Shooting, and welcome to another episode. This is the shooting podcast where I talk to individuals all across the shooting industry. We'll talk competition, self-defense, concealed carry. If you like this content, check out our YouTube channel, Manny Talks Shooting. And without further ado, let's get to this episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Manny Talks Shooting, the shooting podcast on the internet, because I enjoy doing these and you watch them. So thanks for being loyal listeners and checking it week in, week out. I appreciate you greatly. Without further ado, I got to talk about the title sponsor of the podcast, Go Fast, Don't Suck. I mean, it's kind of Manny Talks Shooting, but yeah, Go Fast, Don't Suck. They made this banner. They make awesome dry fire decals for your painted walls, match jerseys, memes on the internet that are somewhat hurtful and true. So check them out. GoFastDon'tSuck.net. Tell them Manny sent you in your order notes. I appreciate that. And move on with your day. Without further ado, we're talking to the man who always air racks open guns to my cringe. We're talking to my buddy, Marc Casinillo.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing, Marc? I had to, man. I had to bust you up right from the beginning.
Oh, I've been great, man. I was not expecting that, but yeah, that was great. Yeah, I tried and I found one I couldn't do yesterday, believe it or not. It was a agency Nighthawk collaboration, 1911, chambered in 10 mil, and apparently it has like a 24-pound spring in it. And yeah, no,
That's not gonna go.
no,
That's not
no,
gonna go.
it did not go.
Was it at least chambered in 9mm?
No, it was in 10.
Oh, in 10. That's right. You just said
In
that
10.
in 10.
That's why it was so
spicy.
painful to attempt. But Nighthawk and agency apparently laughed at my attempt, so that's good.
It's okay. Well, we can just pop the mainspring out and switch the spring, and it'll be fine. At least just to air rack it.
True. I'm pretty sure that would be like a hush-hush influencer trade secret. But yeah, that's definitely what we'll have to do.
Exactly. But Marc, people probably don't know you, but it's okay. They're gonna find out about you. Who are you, and how did you get into shooting?
Well, my name is Marc, aka Mad, aka Modern Asian Dynamics. The name was thought up by my beautiful wife. And initially, I started the Instagram page like doing the whole Goon Boy thing. So, like, I had my face blurred, always only shot my backside. I just wanted to showcase shooting and guns. I grew up very conservative, so we didn't. My family wasn't against guns, but we just didn't have them in the household. So when I turned 18, bought my first rifle because I didn't realize you had to be 21 to buy a pistol. And a week after I turned 21, I bought my first handgun. Always been fascinated by firearms, the firearms community. I've been fascinated by competition shooting since before I was a teenager. A big inspiration for me was like I saw a magazine with JJ on the cover like over 20 years ago, and he was like out there making a name for himself, and I was like, there's another Filipino guy doing something awesome, and I'm like, I want to do that.
But the fun fact is he still looks the same from 20 years ago to today. It's really weird.
I look older than he does. I don't like it, and he's like at least a decade older than me, so
right.
So I got into firearms. I self-taught everything. I didn't get into competition shooting until January of 22. So I'm approaching my 2-year USPSA official time. Before that, I did a lot of stuff, just like the concealment, tactical stuff, self-defense stuff, and that was all just watching YouTube and mag dumping into the trash, but nothing structured until I got into USPSA, kind of Christmas, New Year's of last year. And since then, I've basically spent every waking moment talking and living and breathing, as my wife says.
Right. Well, and you're lucky enough is that your wife actually travels with you to matches, so it's not like not like you're away forever. So that's kind of nice. So you can kind of share in the experience.
For sure. No, she's definitely my biggest cheerleader. So,
I mean, she does make some pretty good. She definitely likes to take good pictures of you. That's for sure.
Yeah, we need to change that to a subscription. But
I mean, you can only charge Greg Clement though.
There's going to be a tab and it says, Mark, if you are Greg or not, and then everyone else is free, but Greg has to pay. Yeah, that's fair.
Yep. Yeah. There you go. See, that's how it works, right? But no, that's cool. So when you turned 21, what was that first handgun you bought?
Oh, it was, believe it or not, a 1911 45. Let's see, it was a Commander bobtailed para ordnance. And like I said, 1911s, 2011s have been my obsession. Um, and they still are. And I mean, that's what I just keep coming back to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was my very first one.
Gotcha. Now, what drew you to? So, a bobtail is a very interesting first gun, right? Like,
Uh huh.
it's not a lot of people like even a lot of most builders don't even make bobtails anymore.
Correct.
So that's kind of a retro piece,
Yeah.
especially to be to someone's first handgun. It's very
Yeah.
unique.
I remember I walked into an academy and they had it on the shelf. I had been watching YouTube videos of 2011s and 1911s. I didn't know. I think I was actually after a double stack nine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought that was it. And I had no experience. So I just like, I think this is what I saw on the internet. I bought it and then I pulled the magazine out and it was like, huh, that looks narrower than on YouTube, but okay.
Right.
But I mean, I love that thing. I carried that for a while. Oh, my first set of self defense rounds were. Do you remember Hornady zombie defense rounds, like with the
Yep.
green inside?
Mm-hmm.
I cleared out like all of Academy stock of that day. Like,
Yep.
oh, that was fun. But no, definitely, I have no desire to really shoot single stack. But if I get a single stack gun that I thought went nice, I would dabble. But I like double stacks.
Oh yeah, skinny guns. Jeremy Reed loves the skinny guns, but
Oh
I'm with
man.
you. Like, I don't like the 8 rounds reload. Like,
Oh my
that's why
gosh.
we shoot
I couldn't
open.
do it.
We
Yeah.
we've got 30 round magazines.
If I
Um,
reload once at a match, I'm pretty salty on my drive home.
right. Well, and then people are like, "Well, why don't you reload? Like, there's time to do it." I'm like, I don't want to. Like,
I
I
don't
want to
want
run.
to. Exactly. I want to run or spend money.
Yeah, exactly. Expensive money. I was thinking about that today. About like how many more if I was shooting minor, how many more bullets I could get for the cost of.
You can't think about it that way.
I
You
know
just
it
can't.
sucks.
Yep. It's the smiles per dollar.
Mm-hmm. Smiles. I like that. I gotta write that down. Smiles per dollar. That's hilarious. Oh god, that's going on a T-shirt.
There you go.
But no, that's cool. So I think when I first started following you or found you, you were shooting an XC, right?
Uh huh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And how long? Well, I guess better. Let me back up a minute because I got to get to this train of thought. When you first got into USPSA, did you come in with the XC or was it a different platform, different division?
So I've always been fascinated with compensators and red dots. So
Mm-hmm.
I think um, even like on my carry guns, I'd always try to find some way to either put a compensator or have it ported. And these were all like polymer guns.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So like a
and
Roland
then
special then.
correct, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
Except
Mm-hmm.
I hated carrying it with the XC, but I did it because that's what all the holsters, or sorry, the X300. But that's
Mm-hmm.
what all the holsters came with. So yes, it was traditionally a Roland special. But the
Mm-hmm.
problem was like they didn't run 100%. Like you had to run the exact same ammo every single time. Like so, when you went from the self defense side to the practice side, they would just wouldn't run every single time. So got tired of that. But so let's see, rewinding back 2 years ago, the wife said, "Hey, we're at a kind of good spot in our life. You've always had this dream of wanting to compete. You've always wanted to compete and shoot. It's been something you've been wanting to do even before we got together and started dating."
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, "You need to go find yourself a gun that you can do that with, and you need to get into it." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" I thought it was a joke.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, "No, you go and register with the organization and you buy yourself a gun and call it anniversary present, Christmas, New Year's present, whatever, and then just do that and get into it. But you have to go into it seriously." And I made her a promise that unless I was getting better, having fun, then I would get into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we went and we ordered the XC at that point, which, like I said, I didn't realize that true open guns are custom built guns. You have to find a gunsmith,
Mm-hmm.
and it takes time. You put a deposit down, they build it out, and I didn't realize that it did not shoot just regular 9mm ammo. It was either 38 or 9 major,
Mm-hmm.
none of that. So the first open gun I saw was an XC. It is marketed as a open gun on their
Mm-hmm.
website, or it was at the time. So I'm like, this is it, right? This is it. So I showed her the price tag. I said, can I get this? And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, yeah, I get it. So I ordered it, had it, and then boy was I in for a shock the first time I went to a match, and they're like, you're shooting minor? I'm like, I guess, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Right, because you don't know what you don't know, right?
And I feel like it's kind of funny. I wish I could find the hat footage, but I feel like one of my range masters here, actually my first major match, which I believe was like the Kentucky sectional like last year,
Mm-hmm.
he saw me walking around with my gun and he started laughing. And I need to go find the video because I think I have a video of it and I want to make sure that that's him. And I'm actually going to go back and give him a hard time. But he was like, boy, you're in the wrong
Mm-hmm.
sport shooting that gun. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what does that even mean?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I later learned to find out that, major does play into it. But at the same time, I feel like I was accurate and fast enough at the time to keep up with my C and B class where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't really bother me. Like I said, I needed to get better anyway, and there were a lot of other things that I could improve on over major and minor power factor. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what the original conversation was. I'm sorry.
No, it was fine. So you went to your first match with the XC because that's kind of where it dabbled from.
Yeah,
I so you shot the XC.
yeah,
Everyone made fun of you a little bit.
correct.
But you didn't know what you didn't know, like I said. So
Yeah,
it's one of the like, unless you're a nerd in the sport and you're like, and that's the unfortunate part. But when you got in the sport, we didn't have limited optics. It was only
correct,
everything. It was either carry optics or it was open, right? So
correct,
so
correct.
now you got limited optics, which is nice. It's still the XC still can't go there,
Still
but
can't, still can't,
yeah.
still can't. But I mean, a lot of people around the local scene, I did get a little bit of flack at the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
then as soon as people started realizing, well, even though, this kid's running around with a minor open gun, he's
Mm-hmm.
still beating all of his open guys. So in my mind, there was a lot of other things I could have improved on. And then
Mm-hmm.
Greg entered the scene and he started with an XC2. And then
Yeah.
I still couldn't touch him because he just wouldn't miss. So
Yeah.
then that was really disheartening. Therefore, I needed to get major to help even the score.
Right. Well, but as we both know now, there is a game in itself of major minor scoring here. Like
Correct.
you just go faster. Like the answer is go faster because the Charlies aren't going to hurt you that bad. Well,
Right.
I mean, the guys like the open shooters who went to Carry Optics Nationals found out real quick that Charlie's hurt.
They do. They
But
do.
not in
Especially
open.
with minor.
Yeah.
Yes.
Major it's great. Minor not so much.
Not so much. Not so
When you're
much.
losing the 2 points, it stings.
Dude, it does hurt. Like I I don't know. Like that's kind of why I think my friends always give me a hard time because they're like, "Okay, you're shooting an open gun that's shooting nine major. Stop shooting like a carry optics gun." But as soon as I get a plastic gun in my hands, man, I'm like blitzing. I don't care if there's two on brown. I'm leaving.
Mhm.
I don't understand that mentality, but
Right. So I the other day I went to the range with a buddy. We had a training session. He's getting ready for handgun nationals to shoot limited
right.
optics. I got to shoot the platypus.
So
So
what is this? Like everyone keeps talking about it. Supposedly, it is this the one that does the Glock or the Sig platform mag?
so I got to shoot the prototype Sig variant.
Okay.
So, but because the Glock variant, the battery was dead in the Delta point. So
Oh,
so we
whoa!
shot.
This person had two.
He's got two. So
Okay.
he's been helping them test and build, so it's kind of cool to see him and their relationship grow. So I shot this thing and I'm like, okay, I'm shooting it, I'm putting I'm shooting these targets. I've got like a 20, a 10 and a 5 yard target,
Right.
the minor gun, it's not recoiling that much, so I can split it pretty much as fast, just slightly slower than an open gun. but I'm also dragging my thumb across the slide with my front thumb because I'm used to a
That's
mount
hilarious.
being there, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Well, and it needed some oil bad.
Oh,
The thing was dry, but it was just like I was just like, this thing is weird. Why am I touching the slide? Because with it as an open shooter, I don't care because I
right,
can't touch the
right.
slide.
Correct. If you
But
touch the slide, something went really wrong.
right, yeah, you lost your dot, or yeah, but um, all in all, it was a fun shooting gun. But it's not like a 2011 where they've got the grip is separate than the frame. It's all one piece, right? So the frame and the grip
Okay.
are all one,
Okay.
um, which is unfortunate as a downside because you're stuck with whatever frame or grip texture you buy it on.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
So it's kind of like
Gotcha.
so if I really want to say it's like a 1911 almost, but there's no
Okay.
removable grip panels.
Okay.
The gun shoots great. Um, some things I'd personally change, like to have wider safeties, and whatnot.
hmm
But
You might as well. I mean, if it's gonna fit into that LO niche,
mhm.
it should be a little bit more obvious that it's a LO-ish gun.
Right. Well,
But
and they're still figuring out what models they want to offer, like a
right.
competition model, a carry model, a range toy. So
And then to be fair, I feel like the market for that wouldn't even really be the competition side. It would be a lot of kind of like the Timmy side, if I'm being honest. So,
right. Well, but then there's the guys who've shot Glocks for years and carry
hmm
optics, but they're like, I want a limited optics gun. I want a 2011. They don't have to buy magazines. They just can go buy a platypus and be like, I've got 100 Glock mags. I don't
right,
care.
right, right.
So that's the cool thing about it. It shot really good. I liked it. They need a little. From what I shot, the one yesterday, we had an X300 full of lead shot on the front of it. It was like a frame weight. So when we took the frame weight off, it definitely needed that extra weight. But I'm used to shooting a 54-ounce open gun that's got all the weight in it. So I think they're
Oh,
cool.
and this is double stack?
Yep, it's a double stack. Yep.
Hmm. Very interesting.
Personally, myself, I wouldn't buy one because I'm invested in 2011 mags.
Right.
And,
Same.
but like if you're shooting Sig or you're shooting a Glock pattern gun, it could make sense to go buy a limited optics gun with the different mag patterns. So it's got a market, a very niche market, but it's
Yeah.
super cool because it's and they started with a Delta Point cut. Now they've already got an SRO and they're working on I think an acro cut. So
Okay.
and they just launched this gun at SHOT Show in 2022. No, sorry,
Okay.
2023.
Oh, wow. So it's very new.
Very new gun, very new platform. Well, platform gun. But anyway, so we were shooting yesterday and that was fun. But now I kind of forgot what I was talking about. Oh, so didn't know what we didn't know. That's right. So
Yes. Yes.
how long? So you didn't know you had a real open gun. You didn't have a real open gun. How long until you were like, "Honey, can I go buy a real open gun?"
Um, that probably really didn't really bother me
Mm-hmm.
until the very end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
I think my season was actually over.
Mm-hmm.
So shot probably close to 10 majors last year,
Mm-hmm.
and did fairly well. Did many podium finishes at a lot of them. And this was in B class, which was fine. But I mean, I didn't really feel the need to do it because if I was still placing top three in B using minor, um, and spanking people who were using major and running guns that were more expensive than mine, to me, it didn't really matter. There was always a lot more things that I needed to fix within my own shooting and shooting style
Mm-hmm.
over major and minor power factor. But toward the end of last year, one of my good buddies here, I would talk about him and shout out his name, but I mean, he doesn't even do social media, so there's really no point.
Right.
But we're going to call him Chris. And he's a big, you need to shoot major. You need to shoot
Mm-hmm.
major. And I'm like, buddy, I don't need major to beat you, so therefore I don't need major. Well, we both uh, started getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of leveled out in terms of actual just raw skill. And then therefore, if we were equal skill, then majors can always beat the minor. So
Mm-hmm.
therefore, toward I think it was right around Thanksgiving of last year, I finally found my gun builder, and I shot several of his guns. They worked well, and I told him, if I build a gun with you, I need your word that you're going to basically be at my beck and call if I have problems, because I can't afford two open guns.
Right.
So he said, yeah, I mean, we're in the same state. He's like the next city over within 2 hours. So it's really nice. He's been so good to me in terms of like, I've broken an extractor at a major match. He's like, I'm already fitting two. They'll be in the mail on Monday morning. Here's one temporarily that you could use. He even offered to drive me his spare open gun, whenever something else. When I think it was another extractor thing, we had bad QC with the lot we had or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and always very ready to help and fix. So it's been great. So it's just so different trying to fully commit to the major versus that minor mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I still struggle with that today, but yeah, it's one of those things. Maybe going into next year, I'll hopefully get the different nuances. There's just a lot of things. I think the biggest thing is I'm not. I still want all those alphas, and like me sending another makeup shot just negated the fact. Like another alpha sending three shots to make two alpha doesn't make any sense at that point. Whenever I had Alpha Charlie combo, so
Right. Well, and that too is it. I can understand the hardships because I do too. Right. When you don't shoot, when you locally don't shoot with a bunch of open shooters, right? When you're shooting with a bunch of carry optics guys, you
yeah,
kind of can get the play. Like you can, it can kind of revert the mentality, right?
correct,
It seems almost like an open if you're not moving all the time, or if you're not shooting and getting to the next target sooner, you're behind the curve.
right,
At least at on the scene of setting the pace, right?
correct,
So and that's what I mean when I first, I even said that like I shot a major in May, and I'm like it's like I'm shooting a carry optics gun. I'm just shooting it so slow, but the dot doesn't move. It just kind of stays there, and you can just whack on the trigger a little bit
right,
a lot faster.
right, right.
But looking at back at my match video for that match, I'm like, why did I shoot the 5 yard targets as slow as the 25 yard
Yeah,
targets?
and so just watching like the really good shooters, so like Siler, like all of the Super Squad guys, their videos aren't like any of our videos because depending on the difficulty of the target, the cadence actually changes. So
Mm-hmm.
anything where they need to respect it, it's a little bit more, not even necessarily slow, but it's a more deliberate type shooting, like truly reactive shooting. And
Mm-hmm.
then anything else that they can just blatantly disrespect. I mean, like anything, if it's open, they're going to just go to town on any of those. And it doesn't really matter how far they are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's really difficult for someone who isn't really willing to take the time and understand that and just be really in depth and honest with their dry fire, their live fire, and all their practices to really implement that. I mean, you can do it, but it has to become subconscious. You can't be
Mm-hmm.
thinking about, okay, I'm now gonna attack this target, then I'm gonna shoot this reactively. No, it has to just come second nature to you. And until you can get that really in your subconscious, you're going to struggle a lot and overthink it. And the less noise you have in here when you're running a stage, the better off you are. So, at least from my opinion, everyone's a little different, but the more I think about how to game a stage, the worse off I do. It's better just like as soon as the buzzer goes off, you know you have to shoot these targets here. You know you have to wait for this activated target there. Get all your spots and make sure you're there, and then just stop thinking about it. So like the more loose and the less thinking I do, the better off I do.
Right, yeah, and that's a lot, and I agree too. It's like the more mental process, like the more the conscious mind you're putting into it, um, on things that don't need to be conscious. Um, I agree. Yeah, it just slows down your shooting, and then
Yeah.
like I've got my guys locally here. You see them; they're second guessing themselves on a target or something, and it's like I love with like I'll put my sky cam up in the air, and and gain video of all my buddies because we shoot like back to back to back. So really, I can't watch them shoot purely for the fact of I'm next. I gotta be mentally prepped,
Right.
so I'm not watching
Right.
them. So I'll play the video back to myself, and then I'm a dick, and I'll just stack ourselves on top of each other and be like, okay, watch me just leave you in the dust.
Uh, yeah.
But but that's always the fun part about it, I guess, is ooh, excuse me, is watching those videos. But
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I definitely, I've done it to um, Jared Clinton. So he's our
mm-hmm,
resident, Missouri Grandmaster.
mm-hmm,
Like my full entire first year, I'm like, I need all your hat cam and I need all your video footage. I don't care if you give me permission to. I'm going to video you and I'm going to watch where you start pulling away from me, because I need to know what I'm doing and I need to
mm-hmm,
know how to fix like my positioning, my footwork,
mm-hmm,
everything. And it's a great resource. That's all I kind of did my first year, was just find a handful of people that I'm like, I respect you, I admire how you shoot, and I want to use everything in terms of your mechanics and how you position yourself to make myself better. And that's definitely helped. It's not really evident with how clunky and awkward I shoot sometimes, but there's definitely each person has a lot of art to how they do things, and there's definitely people who make it very seamless, and those are kind of the people I want to watch and learn
mm-hmm,
from. But it's tough, man. I feel like it is tough.
mm-hmm. Well, it seems like it's even tougher in open because you can't leave anything on the table. I
You
mean,
can't.
carry optics guys will say, well, carry optics is harder because you have to absolutely shoot alphas at a very high rate of speed. But I don't know. The gun just cycles a lot faster. So giving up, like say someone's shooting a 20 splits all day, right? If you're giving them 20 and you're only shooting 25s, 28s, 30 splits, you are losing something, but if you make it up in transitions, it's a little different. But
Mhm.
you're still if you're off the pace, it's hard. It's hard to
Yes,
make it
it
up.
and like as soon as you unload and show clear, you're like, that was not on pace or on par with anything else.
Hmm.
And you're like, as soon as you start hearing those hits getting read out, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, I don't. I know for myself, um, like due to visual shot calling, it's like I'll shoot the whole stage, and I'm walking to that specific target that I'm like, I
Yes.
don't know if it's there or not, so I'm walking straight there.
Exactly. Exactly. And
The
that's great. Definitely shot calling is definitely really big, but at the same time you're like, sometimes I'm just like, okay, that lifted off of Charlie. Okay, that lifted off of Delta. I'm already out of the position, and I'm going, and then all you're thinking about is that Delta you left back there, and you're like, okay, no, it's fine. I still need to keep going. I still need to keep going. It's on
yeah,
there. It's on there, but it's just like, oh,
right. Well, in even this, how much of a learning different curve was it for you to switch from shooting minor, like, tracking the dot in recoil? How long did it take you to really get up to pace from a minor gun with the XC to your open gun?
to be fair, I had really no idea what any of that meant until this year.
Okay.
Um, so I would say all of last year, I saw a flash of red on brown, and I sent two.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, it wasn't really until, let's see, I believe in March, Ben
Mm-hmm.
Steger came down and we took his class,
Okay.
and it just like, so all of last year everyone's like predictive, reactive, calling your shots. Um, let's see, but what was the other term that they throw around? Visual patience, target focus, all of this stuff. So like this was me. Like anytime last year I heard any of those terms, I'm like, mm-hmm, mm-hmm, yeah, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. No clue, like
Mm-hmm.
zero clue on what any of that meant. And no, with those 2 days that we took that class, no, we learned what that all meant. And it was really weird because the next, let's see, from March up until maybe June and July, when all of those things that I had zero clue all of last year started like clicking, like I would be shooting a match and all of a sudden I'm like, I saw the dot lift off every single shot I fired.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so therefore it's like, oh, this is what calling is. Like, I saw it lift there. Like, predictive versus reactive, I'm going, okay, so that's a no shoot at like 15, 20 yards. I'm not just going to send two at it, but I'm also not going to sit here and wait for the dot to completely settle, get a perfect sight picture. I'm waiting until that dot just comes right back to the spot I wanted it to lift off. And I'm breaking that shot and calling it good, then leaving. And
Mm-hmm.
then the first time I did that, I was like, oh, I just reactive shot the target at 15 yards with a no shoot, and it was 2 alpha.
Right.
I was like, oh. So all these stuff started really clicking right up until probably mid this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got really hyped up on that. And then I kind of just took like a whole mental and dry fire break because I told
Mm-hmm.
myself I didn't want to get burnt out going into like area 3 in nationals.
Mm-hmm.
So I just literally stopped dry firing and going to practice and everything. And I just went to majors. It's weird. I stopped going to locals and just only went to majors and just tried to have a lot of fun going into that. Just trying not to overcomplicate and overstress things out. Because if I don't have fun, then I struggle with my performance. And it's like, well, if I struggle with my performance and didn't have any fun, then what was the point in going?
Right, absolutely, yeah. No, I agree with you. We're here to have fun. That's why we do this. We don't put ourselves through the, we want to, I mean, we're all type A personalities. We're
Right.
really competitive. We want to win, but if we're not having fun, it doesn't do anything for us. So I
Yeah.
100% understand that. Like I'll take a couple days off of dry fire and feel no guilt because I'm just
Right.
like, I'm doing too many things. I know I should be dry firing, but it's definitely not, it's not crushing me inside not to be holding the gun.
Right.
But, no, I agree with you on that. So, or a little bit earlier, you talked about videoing Jared, right? You know where you're losing time.
Yeah.
Um, at what point? I guess now I got to rephrase my question because I lost my train of thought. But anyway, you were shooting with Jared. What were some of the big things you took away from watching him, really observing him deeply?
He loves to blend and flow things, but he also doesn't even like to try to find, okay, would this be worth it? Like, he doesn't try to game a stage.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing he says it needs to be simple, and I need to shoot it, and I need to keep moving toward my final position.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically how I think what he tries to present to me when in terms of my stage plan. And then the big thing is he needs like you just need to have fun. So all of his locals that he shoots with us, he's there to have fun. He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
care whether he wins or loses. He just has fun, and then he
Mm-hmm.
ends up winning anyway. So,
Right. Right.
so that's
So
a big thing.
I know you can't speak for him, but when you show up to a match, are you still just trying to just have fun, or are
Really
you trying to
glad like a
be?
lot of people don't get to
Mm-hmm.
see my local matches.
Mm-hmm.
Because yeah, I probably more than likely just try to have fun. Like I'll try different things.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I use it to experiment with either something I've been working with on dry fire. And then most of my local matches, I shoot minor anyway. So like unless it's a major local match before like a major match, it
Mm-hmm.
will probably all just be minor ammunition anyway. So I'll just go balls to the wall with minor ammo, and it usually turns out okay too.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I get that's fine too. I mean, it definitely makes things a lot. You keep it nice and fluid. You don't have to shoot a bunch of ammo to hurt.
Yeah,
Well, and for you, you don't load your own ammo,
I
so
don't.
we'll talk about that in just a little minute because if we don't talk about him, he's gonna kick both of us in the teeth. Um, just especially because I call him my engineer.
There you go.
He's like, but if you call me that, I'm sending you the bill. I'm like, oh, never mind. But at least for me, like I'm there to have fun, but like I'm still running my
Right.
mental process as if
Yeah.
I'm going to a major match. But
Yeah.
I'm still there to have fun, shoot the
Yeah.
shit, and talk all the smack.
Yes.
But it's because I can back up my smack talk though.
I,
At least to who I
yeah.
smack talk with, I'm
Yeah.
like I shot a match in August with my buddies. New range for them. They'd never been there. I'd been there once or twice a couple years earlier. And I'm like, they're like, I had two dumpsters of the first stage, right? I pop a no shoot, I bunch of extra time, and I'm like, what is up with me? The next stage, horrible, extra time, a miss or something, and I'm like, all right, here's your free candy. If you can't beat me, I'm really screwing up all day. But then
Oh man.
it was like a 6 stage local, so I destroyed them on the rest of the stages, and I'm like, this is why I'm still top dog. This is why I'm still top dog. I can throw two dumpsters and and come back from a win.
Now I have to be careful. So I enjoy smack talk, but there were two times this year where I went probably way overboard, and yeah, they were not good matches. I had fun, but they were not good performances. So let's hope
Mm-hmm.
no one can pull up those practice scores.
It's okay. I'll find them. I'll find them. But
But to be fair, in all honesty, I love to talk smack too. And then if the homies actually call me out on it, and they
mhm.
actually end up, giving me the spanking I deserve, then I'm the first to congratulate them. So
Right. Well, and like I said, I don't like to. I don't be too braggadocious, but only with my bros. Like as I'm like,
yeah, no, they're definitely they're
yeah,
just the
it's.
same handful of guys
I
that
don't
we
want to.
always
I
do.
mean, I let my cockiness come out in front of them, but I
Yeah,
am super nice most of the time, unless you're
yeah,
like,
no, I
unless
agree.
you've like start talk. If it's usually they start it, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, Daddy's gonna finish this.
Yes. So I'm the same way. I'm usually very nice. I love it whenever like younger like junior shooters start squatting with us because
hmm
it's just like anything you need, like we will help you. And they're like,
hmm
no, we got this, and they do really well. But there was one guy, um, he was a younger guy. He was listed as a LE guy, and like we did roll call. Before roll call, I introduced myself. I said, "Hey, my name is Mark," and then he just like turned around and walked away and started stacking mags. Like I'm like, "Oh, okay."
hmm
Well,
hmm
that was one day where I forgot my holster and I was borrowing Greg's gun. I was
hmm
shooting LO from AIWB.
hmm
I destroyed this guy. Destroyed this guy. And then toward the end, he was like, "Oh, hi, my name is so and so." I'm like, yeah, I'm Mark. I'm still Mark.
I'm still Mark.
You still got beat by a guy shooting from a gun hidden inside of his pants. Um, but yeah, afterwards, no, he's introduced himself several more times, and we shot together several other times. So it's definitely just like I don't necessarily understand the people that have that kind of "I'm better than you" kind of attitude because you can't judge a book by its cover. I've been beaten by plenty of juniors who I thought, oh, you're just a junior. I've been beaten by old people. I've been beaten by women. You just can't judge a shooter by their gear or by their jersey. You just can't judge anybody, and you have to be nice to everybody because those are like people who can become your best friends for
hmm
like
Right. I mean, I will judge somebody by their jersey if it's cooler than mine. We got a problem.
be
like,
like the Cinderella sisters and like rip it off.
no, not that, but be like, who made this? What pattern is this? I want this. Like, I mean, like, there. Who was it? It was my buddy Steve. I think it was like a super flamboyant, like Hawaiian shirt jersey, and I'm
I've
like,
been seeing those.
yeah, yeah. I was just like, it wasn't like a Boogaloo, like a Phoenix Ammunition Boogaloo one. It
Okay,
was super like Miami. Oh, what was
Miami
God,
Vice.
Miami Vice or Hawaii 5-0 or God, oh, Magnum PI.
Yeah,
It was like bam. I'm like, yes, that is awesome. Like, so I love those like goofy like
yeah,
jersey shirts, and I'm like, yes, if you can rock it, you rock it. Now,
right,
I do want to flip the coin a little bit and talk a little bit about some of the majors this year for you. We met at Area 5.
correct,
You were with your buddy Greg. After he moved, was it area before Area 5? Greg moved back to Missouri, right?
correct.
Okay.
He's been back home, I think, since the spring of this year. Yep.
Okay, because yeah, he finished school and didn't really say goodbye. That little jerk. He just
Ooh,
he was like, I'm coming, and then he came back to Michigan for Area 5. And but did you guys drive up or fly
we both drove.
separately?
Yeah, because he wanted to leave. Well, he couldn't leave as soon as I did,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't want to wait that long.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because that's
it
a
just
long
drove.
drive. Like what?
It was. I think it was like 11, 12 hours. It was
Yeah.
away.
So did you split with your wife, like splitting up the driving then?
I drove up and down both ways.
Okay. What did you stop though? Like to sleep all the way through? Okay.
Yep.
No, I don't do that. I have a cap. It's either I have my driving buddy, my wife, or I'm like I'm stopping after like 7 hours.
It's getting more difficult. Like as soon as I turned 30, it just
Hmm.
became all of a sudden difficult. Like from
Hmm.
20 or sorry, from 18 on to 30, it was easy peasy. I drove from Missouri all the way to Washington State, which was like a total of 27 hours nonstop.
Oh,
And
other than potty breaks and food, right?
correct. And that was fun, but like as soon as I turned 30, I'm just like, oh, after 12 hours, I that's about my max now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for me. I don't like driving, but I'd rather drive than fly purely for the fact of the time limit, the time difference of you got to get to the airport 2 hours early, probably get delayed, fly for however, then you got either a layover or something, and then you got
Right.
to get a rental car and then still drive to where you're going. It's like
Yeah,
2 more hours and I could have driven there and had my own vehicle, all my crap that I wanted,
right.
right? Like, I mean, I like my cart. I don't like not having my things, right?
Yes. Yes. Strictly the cart. Yes.
Yes, the cart is needed. Well, and I'm not a big fan of the wagon. The wagon is something I do not like, but that's just me. So I don't have
Yeah.
a wagon. But you
Okay.
got to have your stuff.
Yeah. But no, Area 5, oh my God, that was, oh man, that was a fun squad. Fun squad, fun match. It was great to actually meet a lot of the northern people, including yourself. Met several people who I actually, talk and text to on a pretty regular basis from that match. So that's definitely a kind of that's kind of a high on the priority list in terms of areas for me next year. I'm
Hmm.
hoping I still have enough time off and finances stuff work out so I can do it again.
Hmm.
So Area 5 was definitely probably one of my most favorite major matches for this year so far.
Right. Sorry, not sorry for putting you on that squad, but
I was wondering how that happened. I was
I
really
was
confused, but no, I loved it.
I was just
It
like,
was a great
oh,
squad.
there was spots open. I'm like, oh, you can go here, and Greg was already there, so I was like, well, I can't be a jerk and make Greg shoot over here and you over here. So I was like, I'm like, okay, that'll work.
No, it was
So
great, and then getting to actually see how people on the Super Squad from both open and carry optics got to shoot. It's just like, oh,
yeah, that's got to be the cool part is be able to learn. Like I can shoot if I wanted to on a average basis. I could go down to Ohio and shoot with Andrew if I
yeah,
just had to figure out when he's showing up
yeah,
and go where he's gonna go. And it's always fun to squad with him because
oh
he
yeah,
treats every match kind of like a local, so it's always a fun blast.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely see to like it was kind of cool because I mean, even as a staff perspective, I could see Andrew was talking to Aaron and is like, it's like you're doing this right, yeah. So they're doing the same thing, but they weren't. No one was holding the secret sauce at all. It seemed like.
No, and that was. I mean, there was really no need to because it's like just because you knew what everyone else was doing doesn't mean it necessarily fit into your style or your game plan. So,
Hmm.
or even like in my case, my abilities. So it's kind of like, okay, I can share what I'm going to do, but a lot of the stuff they were doing was really technical, and it really relied on being able to know what your timing was between you and your gun and your ammo. It's all about the timing.
Hmm.
But I
Oh,
mean, overall,
mhm.
a lot of their results, I mean, they were like what, not even a quarter of a percent off overall. Like it was really tight for that match for them. So
Hmm. Yeah, it was spicy. It definitely
it was a
was.
spicy race between those two for Area 5.
Right now, um, yeah. Now, do you remember a stage? I know you shoot a bunch of majors, but do you remember a stage that was your absolute favorite from that match?
From that match. Mm, I actually really liked that fixed time stage.
Hmm.
Um, I really did. I think actually got me onto the excited of fixed time stages. I think that might have been one of my, aside from the classifier, uh there's like a three target classifier. I can't even remember what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a strong hand, weak hand, fixed time. And that's a classifier, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the first actual fixed time stage at a match that I was like, oh, fixed time's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's always really fun to hear the different camps. So I'm always in the, oh, you need to try for all the points. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I tried. I tried for almost all the points. Actually, I tried for all of them, I think. And yeah, that went horrible. But it was really fun to see, okay, this is literally what your on demand performance is. Like, can you know from all your practice and your training and your dry fire, and then all your experience and time you put in with your gun and your ammo, that you can do engage X amount of targets in X amount of time? And the time they give you, okay, here's the sample, beep, and then everyone's like, draw really fast, and then by the time they stop, there's like 3 more seconds. Everyone does that.
Mm-hmm.
And then whenever the buzzer goes off, you're like, yeah, that didn't work. But
Yeah.
but no, I love the fixed time stage. It went horrible, but I actually really enjoy fixed time stages now because of that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a good one. I think the time was a little fast, but
A
I
little bit.
also, but I went it safe, and I just went and got all the points on the one side.
Yeah,
But I liked that stage, so I
I
can't
really
really.
did too.
So that was a good stage. Yeah, I wish more matches nowadays are catching on to short course or medium course fixed time now.
Yeah,
So like you shot one at nationals a
yeah,
couple
we
weeks
did.
ago
We did.
with a swinger.
With the swinger, yes, that was great.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't really realize that it was an unloaded start fixed time stage, which
Hmm.
in all of my walkthroughs, I'm going, okay, I'm just going to draw from the holster, shoot all these three from the window, then go into the main area. And I think I shot, there's four targets there, and then you had a target on the outside. And then I didn't factor into the fact that it was unloaded and then trying to stick a mag in there and rack your racker and then step on a stomp pad. Yeah, that took a lot longer than I thought it would. And
Hmm.
then I really freaked out because the swinger was, I guess, going away, and I quickly swung over to one of the two remaining targets, only shot one target, and then went to the outside and randomly sent two at the far right one. And I'm thinking as soon as it goes beep, I'm going, oh, there was another target in the middle, but it's
Hmm.
okay.
Right. And you live and you learn, right? That was probably a very. I wasn't on the ground, but it looked fun. But
It
it
was
left.
fun.
It definitely could hurt you if you forgot something,
Yeah,
or if your plan was to take the swinger from the window, or oh no, I'm going to take it from this window, but if it's not there, I'm leaving it. I'm going to shoot it in the
yeah,
opening, and then it's not there either. You know.
yeah. I could not hit a reload all into day two, and I think there were two unloaded starts on day two for me,
Hmm.
and those were just all horrible. Um, so it's like, okay, we're just gonna forget how to reload day two. But
Hmm. Well, and then you shot with the Big Dad Energy, David Blanton of the Humble Marksman.
oh my goodness.
Yeah. He
Mm.
Now how was that shooting with David?
So
Well, you had two Davids, didn't you? You had David Blanton and
correct,
David Lyle.
correct. So the humble marksman did not introduce himself as the humble marksman.
Hmm.
He introduced himself as Dave. So all of day one, we're talking and we're just talking and we're talking. So background story:
Hmm.
I've mistaken another nondescript, kind of tall, middle-aged white guy with a beard
With the beard.
as the humble marksman before.
Hmm.
It was embarrassing, humiliating. This was last year at Area 4.
Hmm.
I was like, oh, are you the humble marksman? And the guy's like, and after that, I was like, I am never, nope, we're not, I'm not going to assume anyone's the humble marksman anymore. This guy, we're talking, he introduces himself as Dave, and I'm like, oh, well, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I'm just like, well, that's a little weird. He's shooting a bull, and it runs, and He looks like him, but I'm like, I'm not making this mistake again.
Right.
Going into day two, like second to last stage, I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna regret asking this, but are you the humble marksman? He's like, well, duh, like I should. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I just didn't want to assume because I've gotten in trouble and made awkward interactions with people before. But yeah, he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, nice to meet you. I'm Modern Asian Dynamics. He's like, I know. And I'm like, well, I don't know. Like I got in trouble for introducing myself as Modern Asian Dynamics. I got in trouble for introducing myself as Marc. I'm just like, I don't know what people want.
Yeah. I'm Greg's Filipino daddy.
Yeah. Some days.
Right? It's like, Greg, did you forget your shoes? Yes.
Yeah, sometimes. He's like, here, eat a granola bar, buddy.
You're not you when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, it was actually really interesting. So my national squad was really good. Watching pretty much a majority of the MPA guys tear it up. It's really good. Um, and just like everyone in our squad, really helpful, really fun to shoot with, and
Well, there was an interesting DQ on the standard stage on your squad.
there was.
Now, I wasn't on the ground. From your vantage point, and you can tell me if you weren't even looking or what or paying attention. Do you think the right call was made?
Well, there were two, but I feel like the interesting one you're talking about. Um, I don't know what you had heard. From what I've seen, it was one of the. I'm assuming a junior shooter. I believe he was a junior shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the story was that he was warned that he had his finger inside the trigger guard upon the reload on the first string,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess he got stopped on the second one because they saw it again. I was just listening because I was doing my little dry dance over on the other side because we were on the left and right. He was on the left lane, I was on the right.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, there are a lot of shooters who don't get a warning.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that if I ever get warned, I've probably been sternly talked to maybe 2 or 3 times in my entire career about, oh, you were really close to 180, or it was mainly the reload. So like reload going into the left, I usually kind of get that really close.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime there, like the whole rest of the match, I'm like, okay, we're not doing that. And like in my dry fire for the next week, we're not doing that. So I feel like if it were true and he was warned on the first string, I
Mm-hmm.
would make damn sure my finger was like exaggerately out. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so at that point, I probably would even left-handed. Um, but I think if it went the way it went,
Mm-hmm.
and he was warned, that's plenty fair.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, the kid did agree that he was warned the first string, but he argued that he didn't have it in the second string. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Right.
don't know.
Well, it's so hard. You can't tell from a video unless you were absolutely there and you were looking at it. You were the ROs or the shooter.
Yeah,
And honestly, in my defense for this, I guess is there's no significant advantage of having your finger that close. Right. You still got to get it in and out.
correct,
Like, so why give them a question of a doubt
correct,
of was the finger in there or not?
correct.
Um, so yeah, I guess that's what I'll say about that because I've seen the video, but the video's not very good. So, um,
Oh, there was video. Oh,
yeah, the shooter who got disqualified actually put it on their Instagram.
ah,
So you'll have to. I don't even know how I could find it. I think I've got a link to it in my text messages, but here nor there.
here nor there.
Right. So it was cool. You came in third A class at your
Third
first
A. Yep.
nationals,
Yeah.
and you shot your division. Right.
Yeah.
So against Christian Tyler, the
I know,
best
right?
U.S. shooter. Well, the best U.S. Open shooter, because I can say Nils is probably the best shooter overall because he can shoot so many
Okay.
different platforms, but Christian could take
Okay.
that easily.
with whatever switching guns he wants to shoot. So, you shot your percentage of your division
Yeah,
and still podiumed.
I'll take it. It was
Uh,
close. So apparently there
mhm.
were three A class people, all like within less than 0.01 point away from taking third.
Right. So yeah. So I've got it here. So James Ramos at 78.53 was 54th position overall, top A. Then David Murphy at 76.36. Yourself at 73.17. So like 19, excuse me, less than 9.19%. And then just a little bit under you, 16.16 difference from you was
Yeah,
Patrick at 75.99. Like
it was
super tight.
close,
So
really
that
tight.
so that could have been a Charlie Delta. Definitely a Mike could have bumped anyone farther up.
Yeah,
Right. Wow. So for Patrick to do a big enough swing, somebody would have had to have mic'd something. But looking at the points, the percentages are all condensed, but
yeah,
the points like 1588, 1584, and 1580,
yeah,
still an 8 point swing. So any shot could have changed the outcome of this.
yeah,
So
for sure.
and it was cool. You shot with your buddies. You shot with really good shooters. Shooting with those really good shooters, did that get into your head, or were you able to stay in your mental game?
Um, I think day one I was able to shoot my own match and my own game. I don't necessarily think anyone else's cadence or timing or stage planning really threw me off what I knew I could do or what I should do.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a lot of my internal things. Like as soon as I walk off a stage, I can know, okay, why did I take so long here? Why did I throw a mic there and have to do a makeup? Like all of those things. It was only more of my internal criticisms of my own performance. A lot of it was more. Day two was a little more difficult, and I don't know if that was. I had some close family come up and visit, which was really exciting. So maybe it was partially distracted, like wanting to spend time with them, and then instead of maybe focusing 1000% on what I was supposed to be doing. But then again, there were people who were very important to me, and they did drive some time to come spend time with me and watch me. So it was very emotional. Like I was happy, but then I was also unsure of how to process that emotion because, like I said, we are very kind of conservative growing up,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't do sports. I didn't have any kind of performancey type anything. So this was like a very emotional time, like my first nationals, the first time any of my extended family had ever come to watch me shoot, and then the fact that they were all there and they were super proud of me. It was a very great but very new experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
So day two was a little bit, um, probably a little less like zeroed in than day one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then day three, I feel like that's when it just kind of set in. It's like by the end of the day, you would have finished your first ever nationals. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that I think kind of really got to me. And then like a lot of people that I'd looked up to had finished their AM session. They were all done, and they were all coming up to me and just telling me, wishing me good luck and keep on going. That I was doing really well. And then I think that pressure kind of got to me a little bit because a lot of people that I didn't really believe or know that knew who I was telling me, keep on going, you can do this, keep the course, keep pushing, keep
Mm-hmm.
like the same aggression and focus that you had all through day three. And then I think some of that kind of day three was tough. Um, I was tired, probably dehydrated, hungry because I don't like to eat much until after I'm done shooting.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that day three, I felt a lot of pressure, and I don't even know why. Because there was really nothing for me to lose. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, so in all honesty, I called my friend Jared, and I
Mm-hmm.
just like spent probably a good 60 seconds yelling at him. I don't know why. I yelled at Clanton for 60 seconds. And then at the end of it, he's like, well, why aren't you just going out there and having fun? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm trying. He's like, no, you're not. you're not having fun. Go out there and have fun. It doesn't matter what the points do. You're not going to beat Siler. Just
Mm-hmm.
go out there and have fun. And he's like, what I want you to do, the last 3 stages, you go out there and you draw your gun, you visualize your target, and then you just shoot all of the targets as fast as you can. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I tried to do.
Well, and it's good sound advice too, especially for someone who shot on the super squad
Yeah,
this year. So he definitely knows what he's talking about in that
yeah,
regard because yeah, it's definitely and he probably shot in worse conditions due to the fact that they shot in the rain.
yes,
So I mean, you had
yes,
to deal with the stagnant heat
yeah,
of Talladega,
yeah,
but at least your shoes weren't soaked with water and still soaked by
correct,
the end of the day.
correct. I mean, they were soaked, but it was because I was just sweating everywhere. It was gross.
Mm-hmm.
It was gross. But no, definitely, like, he kind of talked me off my ledge in like the next 3 stages. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna let my trigger finger do what it does and just send rounds.
Mm-hmm. And that's it's honestly a great thing to do too, right? Just let that trigger finger rock and just slap
Yep.
the bang the trigger away, um, and you can't complain about that at all, right? So,
Yeah. He was like, I bet you anything if they had captured scoring on splits, I would not
hmm
see any 10 splits on there. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. He's like, well, then you need to go shoot chasing those splits.
hmm yep, absolutely. Now, um, I want to diverge away from nationals a little bit, but I want to talk about your social media game, right? So
Okay.
you post pretty much every day, multiple times a day, um, with some good looking reels and things like that. So is it your background, like your professional background, or is it something you enjoy doing, or is your wife do it for you and you just post it? It's okay to admit it if it's true because it could be funny.
So the Shadow Bay Adventures account, that's all her. I don't have anything to do with that.
Right.
Um, Everything you see pretty much on Modern Age and Dynamics, that's usually me shooting and picturing that. Every now and then she'll send me something, and then I'll for sure tag her on it if she's videoed it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of obviously the third person shooting.
Mm-hmm.
She's usually my camera person for that. But a lot of it, I just love social media content. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not watching people shooting, then it's watching kind of other content creators showing, okay, this is how you do this to get this cinematic effect. These are the filters we like. These are the popular trending real audios. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
finding a lot of random stuff like that. Um, as you know, you probably feel it, but like the IG community is very not tolerant of our passions.
Mm-hmm.
So I went from this time last year, I was averaging close to 45,000 hits per month. And now I cannot get over 4,000 hits per month. I got shadow banned hard, um, and my engagement's down. So I greatly appreciate anybody who likes, comments, or views any of my content. But
Mm-hmm.
no, this is definitely not. This is just for fun for me. This has nothing to do. There's no income in it for me. This is just stuff I like to do, and mixing social media content with shooting, kind of just my passions and only hobbies I kind of have.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, the engagement it seems like doesn't it seems like whatever you try, like you'll tick up a little bit and then
Yep,
it sinks, and you tick up a
yep,
little bit and it sucks. Is especially trying to grow a brand organically,
yeah,
and not being super edgy on content or
correct,
things. It's like I'm posting match videos talking about a performance or a stage. It's like it's in a safe atmosphere and
correct.
but they just don't like it. But then you've
They don't.
got people like PewView, for example, and a phenomenal shooter in his own right, do some crazy trick shot and it blows up and it's got like 10 million, right?
Right,
And it's like, I mean, I can't, it's like comparing apples to oranges because he's already got a big following, right?
correct.
But it's still disheartening. And it
Yes.
seems like YouTube is a little more tolerant of
Yeah.
things for now,
For now.
um,
For now.
but that's the hard thing too, is like you never know when they're not going to be okay with any of our content.
Correct. And if you ever find another platform that's a lot more tolerant and there's more people that aren't just going to go through and report every single thing you posted for like the last 3 weeks, then by all means share with me and I'll hop over.
Well, speaking of that, Rumble is pretty
Rumble.
Rumble. A lot of bigger YouTube channels I found share their content there as well.
Okay.
So it'll backlog things too. So say you want to backlog all your content from the time you started shooting, right, and put it all on Rumble. It could be because it'll take the YouTube link and the YouTube in the background, snag the link, and then they'll import the video onto their site. So it's actually not bad. It's
Hmm.
still growing
Okay.
as a platform, but it's definitely something that needs to be looked at. Like I do a live stream now every week, which is on YouTube and Rumble, so I
Okay.
can grow both atmospheres. So I think it's worth the squeeze to put your content on both or have it automatically post on both. But
Gotcha.
it seems like it's going to be a little more forgiving in the meantime. I think it's,
Yeah.
but all time will tell on anything too, though. So
Right.
somebody buys it who doesn't like that kind of stuff, it'll get pulled too. So I mean, that's the unfortunate part. It doesn't matter
Right.
if someone's got enough money, they can ruin your day. But
Fair. That's definitely fair.
right. So what got you into the video kind of stuff? Was it just another hobby you had, or was it something you saw as a need for your content on Instagram?
I really just want to be an influencer and then just like shoot guns the rest of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
that's the pure honest truth. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't want to have to. I mean, I could work and be successful, and I do, but
Mm-hmm.
I really just want to shoot. Like, I want to be able to go at all these matches and not have to worry about, oh, do I have to shoot major or minor just to make sure that I'm consolidating all my major match ammo for major matches. Like, I'd like to just go out and have fun and actually just bring more exposure. Like, I think I want to make content that would make me excited and make me want to go shoot competitive shooting, make me want to be better at shooting, be safer at gun handling, be better able to, in the end, protect myself and my family if I ever have to. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of my big goal. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily know um, if that's really making that kind of impact that I kind of want. But until then, I feel like the only way that's going to happen is make videos of someone being very passionate about safe shooting and competitive practices, and then hopefully other people. Well, I take that back. There have been several people who have gotten to competitive shooting because of some of my videos. But that being said, I would like it to be even more like further reaching and more people be like, I want to do what that like muscular Asian guy does. So
Mm-hmm. Which is admirable too, right? To want to be in a good influence for people coming up, see that what we do is fun and enjoyable and safe,
yeah,
in a good light. And I mean, it sucks is what kind of era we live in, right? With the the shadow banning
yeah,
and the polarization of some of demographics and the internet, which sucks for
yeah,
growing some forms of content.
yeah.
Although then you can see forms of content that really shouldn't be even on the open access internet anyway, but it gets
Right.
so. But anyway,
I don't even understand that
before I get on my soapbox here,
soapbox.
I'm not that short, but I do need a soapbox sometimes.
Hey, soapbox is good for any and all heights. Okay.
Yep, Nils, you don't need to stand on one. I need one, so I feel less short. But
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If they put the short box on a stage, I think it should just stay there so that all you tall people
hmm
have to deal with the short box too.
yes, this is true. But this is true. But Mark, I think we're near the end of our time today. But I do have a
All right.
couple more questions. Um, we've talked about some people, but who have been some people? I'll say this: other than your wife, who, but not sponsors. Who have been like mentors or supporters of you in the sport?
The biggest people have been a lot of my local guys, and kind of sucks because I'm kind of like the last guy who hasn't been master or higher. But Jared Clanton, he's on social media. He was kind of my first gun bunny friend.
Gun
So I
buddy
met him.
friend.
I met him at my very first USPSA match here locally, and he was just like this smile, happy, dorky kid, and it was like freezing. And we've been friends ever since. Greg Clement,
hmm
he he's made such massive improvements.
He's
Um,
too humble though, and this is my problem with Greg is he's too humble. Bro, like Greg, if you're listening, you probably are. Talk
yeah,
some smack. You're that good. End of
yeah.
rant.
He only talks smack to me. It's not cool. He needs to talk smack to other people.
Yeah,
Um,
he needs to show that he's got the skittles. Like,
yeah. There's another local guy. His name is Tristan Riggs. He's a instructor here at one of our local colleges. He's been really good. We shoot and we talk and train together. We took men's class together.
hmm
Um, and then there's another guy. His name is Zach Petzold. He's an M class guy from here too, and he'll come down and we'll get some practices. And he's also done really well at his first nationals this year. Um, and all these people, so Zach and Jared, I was hounding them ever since they got back from CO Nats this year. Like, what do I need to do? What do I need to focus on? They're like, no, just go out and have fun. Just go out and have fun. That's what they both said. Go out and have fun. Yeah,
hmm
go out and have fun.
right. And that's all we need to do is go out, have fun. You're going to shoot your best match when you just have fun.
Yep,
It's a proven fact.
yep,
But
so
what
true.
else? But oh, but now we can talk. This is the part of the show where I like to let the shooter who's on the show pay the bills for their sponsors. So this is the part
Yeah,
where you get to go plug the wonderful sponsors or partners that you do have within the shooting
yeah.
sports.
Official partner for me would be Gun Butter.
hmm
I was probably only a couple months into my shooting career, and Mason reached out and said, "Hey, would you like to be on my team?" I said,
hmm
"Yeah," and I've been part of that team pretty much all of my USPSA career. Um, uh, Basically, everyone else has supported me in every single way. Work with Mike Gunsmith, David Hill over at Tactical Steel Customs. He's built all of my competition guns from this year, all my 2011s that I've competed with for sure this year. And then Iron American Liquid Chalk, they're who I use for grip enhancement. Um, and then we're going to talk about Daddy Nick. He's helping
hmm
me iron out my 9 major tailored hand loads. Um, Also, B Class Engineering on Instagram.
hmm
And then Vince Hall over at Stonebridge Gunworks with the TFTs.
hmm
So I've the the open SRO TFT
hmm
designed for people like me. So
Well, yeah, it's different because it is on a frame mount, so it's got to be
correct.
it's like the Shadow 2 guys where the dot's so low with the SRO. It's like it
Yeah.
no compute. I guess I can't wait. I got to backtrack a little bit. Nick will get some love here at the very end because I kind of forgot about him too. Although he's that kind of the monkey on the back because I'll text him. Why is my thing not work? I don't know. Did you set it up right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But how did he convince you? You convinced him to let you load your ammo on his machine.
Mhm.
He was like,
He
"All
loves
right,
me and I love Nick. That's all
yep."
there is to it.
Do you like hold his kid while you're there too?
No, we usually, well, I don't know. I don't want his wife to hear. But we usually just have like, bro date, you know, that's pretty much it.
Well,
But no,
especially when he
I've been,
works at home.
right? No, I became friends with Nick very early on in my career and, obviously give him a lot of crap for shooting PCC. But I mean, whenever I dabbled, I always hit him up for any advice. But I'm waiting for him to come back and spank some ass.
Yeah, he said he was switching to production for a
I
while at
saw that,
least.
and that's disgusting. I'm gonna squat up with him and just shoot open really loudly.
Yes, and that is something that people don't understand. Is it's lovelily loud.
Yeah, and then just keep on saying, "Man, that was really nice not having to reload."
Right. Well, or they say, I always ask like a dick. Was that loud? Was that loud? They're like,
Way to
yes.
do
Oh,
it.
not for me. It was great.
No, 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 yeah, yeah,
I have had my ear pro once, like, because at one point I had to use inner ear, just like foam inner ears, or well, there were silicone ones, but it popped out a little bit, and you could just hear the ringing. I was just like, I'm not stopping.
it sounds horrible.
Yeah, it did, but the ringing went away about after a day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I do not recommend it. So don't be dumb like me, people. Don't do
Nope,
that.
over ears is the most.
See, I can't do over the ears. It's the head pressures.
Oh
So
dear.
now right now I've got some decibels that are custom molded.
Okay,
So those are at least those. I tried those out for the first time the other day. They didn't hurt my ears, but they were super tight. So I was happy with that. So I can't
okay,
complain there. But yeah. So everyone go bother Nick because he doesn't have a
yeah,
website set up yet.
yeah,
And it's a shame on him because he needs to sell more auto drives to put his
right,
child through college,
right,
for a master's or a PhD.
right,
I don't care. He just needs to sell auto drives because I need an auto drive still. Um,
correct.
and you need to get a reloading press so you can
Apparently, I need to
get
get a
an auto
reloading
drive.
press. But like we said, there is LO now, so it was probably created. Even though I never complained about it,
Hmm.
it was created for me. So maybe Super Squad LO, maybe, but I'm not even going to this one. So
Right. Yeah, you're not cool. You're not cool like Greg, who can just get sponsored by Masterpiece Arms and get to go to every nationals he wants
yeah,
to.
apparently not. Apparently not. It's okay. Some company will make a mistake and pick me up, and then it will be great.
Right, exactly. But Mark, so for people who want to follow you on the internet to watch your videos and whatnot, where can they find you?
It is on Instagram at modern.asian.dynamics, and then the link tree is in the description, and the description changes based on how I feel.
There you go. And
But yeah,
I'm assuming you have a YouTube channel, so you
I
post
do,
it.
and that's all on the link tree, and it's the same. I think it's the same ad on YouTube. It's just at modern.asian.dynamics.
Gotcha. Yeah, so people go check out Mark. Go show him some love. Go subscribe to him on YouTube. Put something in the comments on one of his videos over there. Tell him Manny sent you. Wherever, or just listen to this and say and go message him. Tell him that you know that you heard about him. So, Mark, brother, I appreciate you coming on. This has been a blast. I've had
Hey,
fun.
thank you. It's been a
Um,
blast too.
even though you air rack your open gun.
Hey, like I said, I found one I couldn't do, and until then, I'll just keep on trying to find up another one to, make up for the fact of the one that got away.
Right, exactly. But Mark, brother, thank you for coming on. And listeners, until next time, get out and do the things, and I will see you on the next one.